welcome to the Dave DY Show. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, friends. Hello, subscribers. Hello, all. MMA talk. We have UFC 230. What is it? UFC 234? Yes, we've got UFC 234 pay-per-view coming live from Rod Laver Arena down here in down under in Melbourne, Australia, where we are often watching the Australian League football, Australian rules football, whatever. So it's in Rod Laver Arena. Rod Laver Arena. That would be cool to go. All I can remember is the story of Dana White. Or maybe it wasn't Dana White, it was Rogan, or it was Ari Shaffir. Ari's a comic that hangs out with Rogan. Fuck. Alright, I had another minor snafu with the behind-the-scenes production. Oh, this shit gets old, dude. So yeah, Dana White or Ari Shaffir, who's a comic with Rogan, or Rogan somebody, I think it was Ari, was talking about Rogan's first trip to Australia for UFC commentary when he was with Goldberg. And part of his contract was that he would get 2 first-class tickets to every event that he commentated. That was in the return contract that Dana wrote for him under Zuffa before any sales. And Dana explicitly stated that he had completely taken care of Rogan. Meaning, for the first, I think, 14 UFCs, through UFC 14 or whatever it was called, on many of those that started in the late 90s, they had single night competitions that had multi-fight brackets. And that is where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu actually assumed its preeminence of probably one of the greatest mixed martial art techniques ever birthed. It actually usurped traditional martial arts such as Jiu-Jitsu, Taekwondo, Karate, Muay Thai, because the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu had grappling and tap-out techniques with a full gi or without a full gi. And as we all know, the Gracie Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was the keystone. It was the emerald that really shined. And it was Royce Gracie, not Hoyler or any of the, there's a handful of Gracies that were insane. Henson, Henyo, Hoyler, Hoyce. I mean, dude, there's 8,000 of them. But 3 or 4 of them are insane, and a couple are better than Royce. But Royce came at the right time. And we saw him actually choke out, beat up, put down 300-pounders, right, when he walked in at $175 or $180. And he did it with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu technique. So he launched the UFC. And he won multiple fights in a bracket to get to the title fight, which he then won on a number of these. He was the winner, right? There were no rules. It was bloody. You could kick in the head. You could kick a fighter down. You could do anything you wanted. And that quickly changed when Congress and everybody got involved, and then Nevada and New York athletic commissions and, the national gaming commissions. And it stalled for a while, and they had to fix it all. And Big John McCarthy came in, wrote a whole rule book. Joe Rogan, who did almost like an on-site reporter. He moved into a commentary role with Goldberg and Mike Goldberg, and the rest is history. But those first 14 fights, he didn't get paid. Dana asked him if he wanted to do it. He'd fly him around-ish and go to some very zany locations. and ultimately got no money. And so when the time came that this thing took off, and everybody knows the story, after being about $45 million in the hole, the Fertitta brothers said, no, keep going with it. And then we had the epic, tough finale between Forrest Griffin and his buddy, and the UFC launched into the stratosphere. Forrest went on to become pretty popular. The other dope, and I can't even remember his name, he wasn't nearly as popular. He did well, but Forrest, Hall of Fame, pretty awesome. So, yeah, Rogan, when the contract was written, Dana White took complete care of him, gave him first class trip tickets everywhere. And he took Ari Shaffir one year when they went to Australia. And Dana yelled at Ari and Joe openly, maybe on Twitter, like, listen, you fuck, you're costing me $24,000 for first class ticket from Los Angeles to Australia in one of those first class pods. So that's pretty funny when you hear the story. And you can search it up. It's somewhere you can see it. It's somewhere online, YouTube or somewhere else. But 234, which is in Rod Laver Arena, which is in Melbourne, which is going to be epic. The Australians love it. The Australians love the fight game. It's ingrained in their tribal backgrounds. It's ingrained in their pride. It's ingrained in their nationalism. They do it in rugby. They do it in cricket. They do it in football, soccer. So it's going to be an exciting fight. And there's 3 fights that you really have to pay attention to. They're pretty huge. 2 or 3. The early prelims have pretty much nothing. It's got a fight between Lando Venata and Marcos Rosa Mariano, which will be good. Lando Venata's pretty decent. And a bunch of unknowns in the lightweight category, in the bantamweight. But then you've got, in the prelim card, Devontae Smith is fighting Dong Yun Ma. So they pull some of the Asian stars there. And Devontae Smith seems to be this up-and-comer who just goes in and is ripping guys apart. So that's going to be an exciting fight. And I'm sort of excited to see how he shows up under the spotlight on a prelim card on a major fight night. And we know the Koreans, the Japanese, they're very disciplined. So I expect Dong Yun Ma to come in and fight just like he's sparring. Come in and pound and ground and pound and strike and do it. Usually they have good stand-up and striking too. Mixture with Muay Thai kicking. So we'll have to see. So that's going to be exciting. Though, not well-known fighters. And then this main card's unreal. You've got Sam Alvey fighting. Sam Alvey, he's a dud. He's smiling Sam Alvey. Hey, he can come in and fight, but he's much of a lesser known. Not the exciting that I would put on a main card. Don't know how that happened. Oh well. But you got Hani Yahya, and he's fighting Ricky Simon. That should be a pretty sick fight. Hani Yahya always shows up. He can stall, he can back up. When he does back up, the fight changes dynamics. It's not as exciting, but we'll have to see. But the real fight is that I'm excited about is Anderson Silva against Israel Adesanya. The prodigy against the master, the legacy. So, I don't know. Anderson was great in his heyday because, I think, of performance-enhancing drugs and his exceptional skills. He had decent, fitness. He was always fit. He never gassed. But he had exceptional skills. Probably, classified in the category of greatest of all time. Pound for pound. Very wily, very smart, insanely tough, brutal in the cage, merciless. And then at times toyed, Damian Maia, toyed with the fighters. And those were sort of grotesque. I didn't enjoy those so much, 5-rounders. And then the kooky Chael Sonnen, double fights. Almost got smoked that first one. Boy, one of the greatest fights ever. And then the second one, he just beat him up. So I suspect Israel Adesanya to come in and smoke Anderson Silva. And that might be the most foolish thing I could expect. Anderson Silva, if he comes in the right state of mind, is healthy, and is prepared, meaning no ring rust, has drilled, has skills, which I think he does all the time down in Brazil. At what level, right? If he comes in and he's pretty solid on his game, hasn't fought a couple fights in multiple years here, that's it, trying to prolong, maybe trying to milk some money, is a household name, can easily command $150,000, $200,000 for this fight ticket, maybe more, maybe $500,000. $500,000 in Brazil goes a long fucking way. $500,000, you're multi-millionaire, right? You do one of these fights every 2 years, you're Anderson Silva. BJ Penn just did it, came back for no reason, was sadly destroyed. I hope he's done forever. I hope he sort of fades into the shadow. I don't know. I don't think Anderson Silva's there yet. I still think he's got something of a jaw. He's clearly got some skills. He's in his 40s. I expect if I were Israel Adesanya, and he's wily. He's just like Anderson Silva. He's got mixes of John Jones. He does spinning back fists. He does elbows and knees. He does forward pressure. He does trips. He does low kicks. He does teats. Very lanky, tall, skinny, similar style. This could be a scary fight. Awesome. Kind of makes you have goosebumps, gives you chills. And I hope not in a bad way, where somebody just gets totally obliterated. I hope it's competitive. I hope it's exciting, and I hope there's just a strong winner. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how this thing shapes up. So, would I make a prediction? Sure, I'd predict Adesanya. This kid is full of fire, and he's just smashing it. He's in an obscure stage here in Australia. It's out of his comfort zone, halfway across the planet. Silva's used to this, but he doesn't travel a lot anymore. Where's Silva's head? If his head is where it was 5 years ago, he'd destroy this kid. He'd destroy anybody. It's not there anymore. So who knows? This is a hard one to predict. I would predict something to the realm of 7 of 10. Adesanya will win. From sheer youth, from sheer aggression, he seems very skilled. The error in my prediction will arise if he is overconfident or if he is not cautious. If he goes in there very careless or carefree and aggressively attacks, does not use his head, Anderson Silva will beat anybody that goes in like that. He will pick you apart. He leans back. He can use the Machida karate style, punch you at angles, punch you while he's going backward, kick you while he's going backward. And it doesn't take many of those for most humans on the face, on the head, on the jaw, knock you the fuck out. And Anderson Silva's probably still got that same type of technique, the same type of ability. Maybe not the same power. Clearly not going to be on performance-enhancing drugs. Maybe he is. Then maybe he weans off a month and a half before this fight. Who the hell knows how the piss testing is down in Brazil? We know it's very weak. So he could come in here firing, just have a little ring rust and ruin this kid. That would be cuckoo. Pretty cool, but cuckoo. I wouldn't predict that. So we'll have to see, but I'm excited about that. And then Whitaker against Gastelum. Who the fuck knows? Dude, Whitaker was on a tear. He's had a couple losses. Definitely a stand and bang kind of guy. Throws caution to the wind, still fights pretty intelligently, but some of these fights are taking chunks off of his chin, off of his future, because he stands and throws. And you can't take those brutal assaults that many times. They start to add up. Gastelum's been fighting a long time. Seems to be on another rise. Don't know. I don't know who's going to win this. I would think it'd be Whitaker. Whitaker seems like he's the stronger, all-around striker, all-around aggressive, younger, fresher, tougher guy. Don't know where his head is. I think at this level, these guys are going to come in conditioned. They're going to come in as fit as possible, maybe mildly injured from training camp, hopefully not. They'll come in, hopefully, with the proper weight cut, Weight's always been a problem with both of these guys. Not major, but a problem. They suck weight to hit these weight classes at middleweight, right? And when you suck weight, Gastelum's had weight cutting problems, right? And that's a part of him personally and his camp, his people around him. So I would expect Whitaker to come in here solid, hit the weight, feel good. Maybe not with Gastelum. Maybe he's, he didn't start his weight cut properly. His nutrition's still off. Not the diet. He's not working as hard. His camp, his 8-week camp, wasn't as tight. I hope none of that occurs. This is a big shot for both of these guys. This is going to solidify Whitaker to continue to operate around top 5. This will move Gastelum up into a major contender, right? This guy should be somewhere around the top. But he floats between top 7, right? Top 10. So, don't know, but I'll tell you what, it's not going to be a slow fight. These guys do not stand and dance. They stand and throw. This is Robbie Lawler. This is Rory McDonald. This is, BJ Penn. These guys come in and they don't take a lot of time to find range, find distance, and then smash. They'll both be aggressive forward until someone's hurt, and then someone will move backward. And then you'll probably have a give and a take of that, because the way both of these guys operate, they're not extraordinary defensive fighters. They're offensive fighters, so I expect them both to take shots. And when both take shots, you have an ebb and a flow of the fighter's awareness, right? So when they're hurt, they're going to go backward. They'll hit the cage, they'll get on their bike, they'll try to run, they'll try to move laterally. I bet you see a couple of those. I don't know, though. Is there a possibility that we have, an exchange and an immediate knockout? Fucking A. Somebody takes some shots to the head, pounces, and game over. Both of these guys are vicious like that. They're not notorious killers. They don't murk dudes like that all the time. They have. But they're not one of those fighters that just charges and destroys you or gets knocked out. They're wily and smart too. So this could be an awesome fight. My worst expectation would be that they beat each other up for the first 2 rounds and then gas a little, and you've got 3 rounds of trades. I think this is a 5-rounder, and I would not want that. I would hope that these guys are a little smoother in that regard. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be a great fight night. I, once again, am very unlikely going to buy this. I'm going to probably watch in certain realms at my convenience. Take that for what it is. So I hope you join also. I hope you watch the fights. I hope you enjoy them. And I hope that we're all left wanting more and very, very excited about UFC 234. We'll have to see, folks. Subscribe, comment, like, share, let me know, enjoy, and go fight night. Out.